Hi, my hair's a little wild, sorry. Um, I wanted to give you guys some background. So those of you who know me know I need to tell the background and I can't tell a short story either. Um, but before we go into showing you the before and afters of my masterpiece, my house, I have to tell you how it all came about. So it was about almost 8 years ago. I was going through a divorce, but it wasn't finalized. We were just waiting for a court date. And Brindley and I had temporarily moved in with my parents, which was great. And that helped me save money. But, 9 months in, it's a little tricky when you don't have your own space. So I was looking for a place for us to move. Now, I couldn't buy anything because I didn't want my ex-husband to get any of my assets in the divorce. So we had to be really creative. So luckily, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she has just always been really frugal and good with money and investing. So she had money at her disposal. So she was willing to front the money to purchase a house for me. And then as soon as the divorce was final, we would, which we did, transfer everything into my name. So it was just kind of a way of cheating the system for a minute. But the other challenge was I am a school teacher, so I don't have a lot of money, and we're talking about the Denver metro area, which is crazy, crazy now. There's no way I could afford the house I live in. But even at the time, almost 8 years ago, it was very limited to what I could afford, very limited. So I wasn't having any luck with the few things that I had found, and even those things were a stretch financially. So one day, it was really random. I just happened to be in the Aspen Grove Shopping Center, and I kind of got a little glimpse of a house or something, and I had no clue that there was this gem of a neighborhood right here in the shopping center. You have to access it through the shopping center. I had never seen it before, and I'm, very familiar with this area. So I kind of accidentally stumbled across this tiny little neighborhood that happens to be very economically diverse. There are townhomes, which I purchased. There are 3-car garage houses, and there are apartments, many of them government subsidized. So I really appreciate diversity. So there was a lot of economic diversity in this neighborhood. There was some racial diversity in this neighborhood. So I was pretty excited to stumble across it. So there happened to be a unit for sale, and I loved the layout because I have to have high ceilings, have to. And that was something in my old house that we were having built when I was married, didn't have the high ceilings, the vaulted ceilings. And so they had to get their engineer architect to draw up a new floor plan for me so that when you walked in, I had double ceilings. Have to have it. So when I walked into this townhome, not this one, I had to have it because of the high ceilings. So it was going for 100 and, believe it or not, 167,000 or 168 maybe at the time. And it needed a lot of work, and it was pretty outdated. But I was going to be pretty capped out at that price and not be able to do much. But I had to have it, so I put in an offer 2,000 lower. I think I put in an offer at 165, and I didn't get it, and I was super devastated because I already knew my pickings were slim, and I didn't get, this place. So then my dad ended up stumbling across. We didn't even know that Zillow had a foreclosure site. So he stumbled across this Zillow foreclosure site. So then I started stalking that and looking at foreclosures, and lo and behold, this place currently, this townhome that I purchased, was in the foreclosure list. So I was super excited because it was the same model as the one I had put an offer in. And the problem was I could only see in the windows, and nobody had lived here for a long time, months. The winter had gone by, a cold winter with nobody living here, and surely the heat and everything turned off. So then my dad stalked the owner on Spokeo, got his number, and asked him if he would show us the house. And because the bank hadn't yet, it was right in the process, but the bank hadn't taken it over yet, his key still worked. So he showed us the place, which was great because we could at least tell that there wasn't serious water or structural damage. Now, this was the original 1982 everything, except for they had put carpet upstairs in the dining room and living room area, which doesn't count because it was in horrible shape, horrible condition. Plus, who puts carpet in a dining room? So that doesn't even matter. So it was disgusting. It was a bunch of bachelors that lived here. And I can get into more detail of how disgusting it was as we go, but it was disgusting. But no major damage. So we decided to actually we gave the guy an offer, but it was too late. The bank was already in the process of taking over. So I had to work that day, and grandma was the one financing it, and mom and dad were retired. So they're like, we'll go to auction for you. So they did. And the bidding started at 117,000. And I think we ended up buying it for 137, somewhere around there. And then I wanted to fix it up and drop some money, but I didn't want to go up anywhere above what they were selling for. So I only dropped about 35 grand into it. So when you're on a limited budget, you have to get creative. And, of course, there's a million things that I wanted to do and have done since, but I had to be creative in how I spent my money and the choices that I made for the changes that I made, which is why, anyway, I came up with a vision design on a dime, because I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to, just spend at my disposal. So it's actually kind of fun that way because it forces me to be creative in how I choose design. So I will be talking a lot about that as we go on. So anyway, the house became mine, and I ended up choosing a guy to do all the work minus the plumbing. He doesn't do plumbing and electrical, but I picked Jason Hilton out of my 3 or 4 bids, and he was not the cheapest, but I just felt like he was the most knowledgeable, and he was definitely the right person to pick. He and I have since become really good friends, and he has done a lot of work every year or twice a year. Sometimes I am changing something up in this house. I'm always changing something, and Jason is the one who always does all the work. So I got a great friend out of it. He ended up giving me a really good deal because he has a heart for single moms, and it was all just meant to be. Another way that we saved cost was my dad volunteers at the homeless shelter downtown. And so instead of paying for a demo, because we pretty much gutted this place, he hired, I paid for, he picked up a couple of the guys he knew from the shelter who, needed to work and wanted to work. And he picked them up and brought them over here, and I paid them to demo. So that was one good way of saving some money. And so now this place is mine. And I always thought, one day I'd like something bigger, or, Brinley's always wanted a backyard. And so I always thought, well, maybe we would move. I miss having a new build, things like that. But the reality is, even if I sold this place today, there's no way I could afford to buy anything else. So that makes me stuck in one aspect. But the other thing is my parents, who are aging, have recently purchased a condo very close to me, nearby, and so that they can help me as I'm a single mom with my daughter as they do, and so that I can eventually take care of them when they're no longer able to. So because of that, this has truly become my permanent home, which is great because all of my heart and soul and my personality, there's just so much of me that is in this house that I can honestly say I don't know how I would ever let go of it. Like I said, it has become my masterpiece. I love my house. I love changing it up and fixing it up and making it even more me every year, or twice or 3 times a year. So I hope you enjoy this journey with me. I will have several more videos showing you some before and after pictures, and there are a lot of new projects coming up. And so you can walk through all of these new projects with me. If you are like me and you have an itch for design, and or you're trying to figure out some tips and tricks of how you can do things, redesign in your own home on a budget. When you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend, I can show you some fun and less expensive shortcuts. So let's enjoy the ride together. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon.